Hello dear students, welcome you for PSOC class. So in the previous classes we have seen what is the unit commitment. So with an example we have seen one unit commitment. Now we will see what are the different constraints in the unit commitment. So these are the consideration to be taken while going for a unit commitment. Means while committing a unit or switching off on unit, we should consider the different parameters. Those are called as constraints. So we will see what are the different constraints are there in the unit commitment. The first one is spinning reserve. What is spinning reserve? Many definitions are there for spinning reserve. So in any power system, some amount of the active power generation capability has to be kept in reserve or to re-establish the balance between the load and the generation at all times. Even under the eventuality of unit falling, different types of resources are required to respond to different types of events over different time frames. So let us see some of the uh, definitions given to the spinning reserve. First one is generators online synchronized to the grid that can increase the output immediately in response to a major outage and can reach full capacity within 10 minutes. That is one definition to the spinning reserve. Another one is the additional output which a part loaded generating plant is able to supply and sustain within 5 minutes. That is one more definition to the spinning reserve. Other one is the total synchronized capacity minus the load and the losses. Very simple definition this is. And another one, the unloaded operation that is synchronized and ready to serve additional demand. So many are given many ways the definition of the spinning reserve. So we will have a summarized one. So we can give the spinning reserve as the unused capacity which can be activated on decision by the system operator and which is provided by generator synchronized to the grid and capable of supplying the active power. So this is what a ready power or synchronized generator is having some active power ready which can be provided to the any outages and any problem we can supply it like previous definitions within 5 minutes within 10 minutes like this. So this is unused power, active power. So we can write we can tell this as spinning reserve is equal to sum of the capacities of all the synchronized at a time minus load plus losses in the system at particular time. So negative spinning reserve is also defined as the capacity that can be switched off quickly to compensate for a dip in energy demand. So the mathematically we can give it as summation of I is 1 to n p max I t u I t greater than or equal to pd t plus sr t. So what the time is in between 1 to t. So what are these things? Pmax I t is nothing but power generation limit of unit I at the time t. This is the power generation limit of the I unit I at the time t. Ui t is nothing but if it is 1 means unit I is committed at time t on condition. If it is 1 means it is in on condition, which is that unit I at a time t it is committed and on. PD, T is nothing but it's a total power demand at time t. SRT is nothing but spinning reserve at time t. So you can see here power generation limit and the unit is on. This must be equal to or greater than total demand plus spinning reserve. So let us see one example here. There are two areas are there, area 1 and area 2. Area 1 is having unit 2, one unit 1 number 1 and unit number 2, and area 2 is having unit 3 units 3 4 and 5, and its capacity is given here. Area 1 is having first and second unit, and second one is having third fourth and fifth unit. Unit capacity is first unit is having 1000 megawatt capacity, second unit is having 500 megawatt capacity, third unit is having 800 megawatt capacity, fourth unit is 500 megawatt, and fifth unit is having 600 megawatt capacity. Where output is, which is having 1000 megawatt, which is gives 920 megawatt, 500 megawatts capacity gives 310 megawatts, 800 megawatts capacity gives 700 megawatts, 500 megawatts capacity unit gives the 240 megawatt, and 600 megawatt capacity 50 unit gives the 220 megawatt. So area wise generation, if you see here, unit output of first two units, that is area 1 is 1230 megawatt, and unit 345 of the second area is having the total generation of 700 plus 240 plus 220, which is equal to 1160. And the total capacity which is used apart from that remaining part, see 920 megawatt is output here out of 1000 megawatt, remaining 8 is kept as spinning reserve here. Same thing for second module, like second unit, it is 190 megawatt is spinning reserve. Third unit is having 100 megawatt, fourth and fifth is having 260 and 380 megawatt respectively. So active loads are on the area 1 and 2 are, area 1 is having 1090 megawatt, area 2 is having 1300. So here interchange from the first area 140 megawatt is going out, at the same time second area is taking inside 140 megawatt to compensate the load, because you can see here total load is 1090 here, here having generation is 1230, so 140 is extra. Here 1160 is the generation, but the demand is 1300, so 140 is required, which is taken from the second area. So we will see the cases. And one more thing, there is a maximum 450 megawatt can be interchanged via the tie line. Tie line capacity itself is 450 megawatt. So you will see, if case 1, suppose the area 2 loses the largest generator, unit 3. Unit 3 is the largest generator in area 2. If it is lost the generator 3, then what happens? So we need to increase the generation of the two other units to their maximum limits. So each 4 and 5 is having total capacity of 500 and 600. So we can increase the load to 1100 megawatt, which is available there. Another 200 megawatt is required, that can be taken from the area 1. Yeah, area 1, the that much capacity is there, so we can just increase the generation at the first area, and the remaining 200 megawatt can be transferred to the area 2. Suppose the second case, area 1 losses the largest generator, that is 1000 megawatt generator is lost, means then the second generator's maximum capacity is 500, up to 500 is used, still the load is 1090 megawatt there, so 590 megawatt is required. So 590 megawatt is required, areas 2 will be having, if all the 3 units are running, 740 megawatt extra is there, spinning reserve. But the problem is what, the tie line or the interchange capacity is only 450 megawatt, means even though 740 megawatts are available, required here is only 590 megawatt, but due to the tie lines constraint only 450 megawatt can be transferred, remaining 140 is still pending. Even though available capacity, we are unable to transfer it due to the tie line issues. So we can conclude that it is not enough the system whole is having enough spinning reserve. It is also important to see how the reserve is distributed in the system and the limitation of the tie line interchange between the different areas. So this is the one of the important thing we need to see. Next is thermal unit constraints. Thermal unit constraints are the major constraint here. So thermal unit can respond only to a gradual changes in temperature, which translate into a minimum time period required to bring the unit online. This poses some constraints on the unit commitment problem. Means when I want to switch on one thermal unit, it is not possible. It requires some on time. Sometimes I may means the startup time is required. Sometimes I may want to shut down the unit. It is not possible. it will require some time to shut down the unit. So whenever we require we can't on it, whenever we require we can't go for off it. So once it is on means there should be some minimum time it need to be kept in on state only. Once it is off means it is need to be kept in the off state only. So that time is called as minimum uptime. Minimum uptime is nothing but this is the minimum time for which a unit once committed should run. Once it is committed means it should run. It should be not turned off immediately. Mathematically it is given by T on of I means on time of the ith unit is greater than or equal to T up, that is uptime. Okay, so it is in hours. Same time minimum downtime, the unit which one has shut down or decommitted, we call it as, cannot be started up before a minimum time has elapsed. So it can be given by T of I greater than or equal to T down. So off time and on time is very important. So whenever we want we can't on, and whenever we can't off. That is, once it is on means it should run for minimum time. Once it is off it should be kept off for particular time period. Next is startup cost of the thermal units. As we seen here, once thermal unit is started means the fuel cost we are going to consider. But while starting the thermal unit, there will be some costs. So including the running cost and the starting cost together, we are calling it as a cost. So we need to calculate the hourly production cost of running at the committed units based on equal incremental cost to meet the demand plus spinning reserve plus and the cost of the shutting down and starting up during the period. Means startup cost is nothing but cooling and starting the unit cost also included. So when the load is removed from the unit, the boiler will either be shut down or allowed to cool, or it will be banked. Three things are there: either shut down totally off, or made it to cool, or another one is banked. In banking mode is nothing but a boiler is isolated from the steam system at no load and kept at the system operating pressure and temperature by intermittent firing of either the igniters or by the main burner. Means here the boiler is isolated from the steam system and kept it in operating pressure and temperature. So this is called as the banking. So the costs of the two options, either it may go for cooling or banking. Banking means it's not cooling, it is just isolating from the steam system. So we need to compare whether cooling is cheaper or banking is cheaper. So we can go for which one is best, then we can choose that one. The startup cost of the boiler is given by startup cost is equal to CT into 1 minus e raised to minus alpha t minus 1 bracket plus k, where CT is nothing but the cost of the starting boiler cold, means from the cold boiler to startup, that is the rupees per hour or dollars per hour. T is the number of hours unit has been in the shutdown or it is cooled. K is includes the maintenance and the operation cost and cost of the starting the turbine alone, and alpha is the cooling time constant of the boiler. And the expression for startup cost T minus 1 hour is used assuming that the boiler takes 1 hour to start up. The startup cost of the banking is given by CT dash into T minus 1 plus K, where CT dash is the cost of the banking of the boiler for 1 hour. So we will see here one graph. We will see here one graph where startup cost is given. You can see here. First the top one is boiler plus turbine cost, and second one is only boiler. See, two graphs you can see, the straight line which gives only for boiler, only for banking, and the curve which is seen, see, it is cooling. So either total togetherly boiler and turbine or boiler, we can see for the few hours the boiling banking cost is lesser than the cooling cost. After few hours h, the cooling cost is lesser than the boiler. So we can within h hours we can choose boil banking only. After H hours, we can go for the cooling of the generator. So one problem, let us see here. So it is a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Load time curve is given, where two different megawatt linings are there. Till reaching the megawatt 1, only unit 1 is enough. After megawatt 1 to go for megawatt 2, unit 1 and 2 is enough. After megawatt 2, if it is more load is there, then we need to go for a unit 1, 2 and 3. So rating is given such a way that if load is less than megawatt 1, only unit 1 can meet the total load. If megawatt load is in between megawatt 1 and 2, then 1 and 2 can be used. And load is more than megawatt 2, then 1 to 3 are need to be used. So here we can see 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. the load is less than the, you can see here 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. load is less than the megawatt 1, so only one unit is sufficient. So whether unit 2 and 3 are need to bank or cool, that is the thing. This will depend on the H. H means what? The hour, minimum time when cooling is economical or banking is economical. That we will see now. As we will see in this one, H is what? It is the minimum time for banking is uh, economical, or cooling is economical. Suppose H2, the second units H is given by 3 hours, and H3, the third units is given by 4 hours. So it is economical to bank the unit 2 and cool the unit 3, that we will see here. See, during 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. all the 3 units are on. During 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. First 2 units are on. You can go for third unit off, that is shut down. 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. same condition, 2 units are on. Well, coming to 12 p.m. only 1 unit is enough, then already the third unit is off. So if suddenly anything is required, we may go for unit 2 to on. That's why we are not going to shut down the unit 2. We just kept it in banked condition till 3 p.m. it is banked only. Third unit is off and second unit is banked. At the 3 p.m. once again the megawatt goes up above the megawatt 1. Then the banked unit is started. So two things are there. Then once again after 4 p.m. all the 3 units are required. Then we go for the for all the 3 units is need to be started. These are the first 3 constraints in the unit commitment. Remaining constraint we will see. The today's what we studied are the spinning reserve, thermal unit constraints, and startup and startup cost of the thermal units. Thank you.